will turn on your microphone. Welcome.
I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this. Is this for you?
My swag for the year. Yeah.
Looks great.
Is it me?
So you.
It's totally me. And this is so I have on
That's last year's.
the last year's,
Yeah.
but it's the hoodie.
Yes.
Like I like the hoodie. This one kind of has like the concert feel to it on the back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That was the point.
It says, it is. You are loved tour. You are loved, you matter, you are awesome, you are unique, you can do hard things, you are wonderfully made. The final one in red is what usually gets said at 37 Frank, where there's a coffee counter. It says, Dave, where's my order?
He's notorious for forgetting people's orders. So, yes.
I should probably ask a few basic questions before we even get into the questions that we prepared. But you're living in London.
Yes.
And then how long have you been at 37 Frank?
3 years as of Friday.
Well, happy third year anniversary. 3 years goes by quickly. Like if you'd have asked me how long it was, I wouldn't have said you've been here for 3 years.
Yeah, I know. I couldn't believe I'd been here for 3 years. It came up on my thing. I was like, oh.
The Facebook reminder. So as I mentioned to the congregation, usually I'm interviewing Dave here, but it was however many months ago when we were together at 37 Frank, and I was trying to book the date. We're talking about doing this again, and you made the mistake of being present.
Yeah.
And we just thought, why not interview you instead, because you're very much at the heart of things that happen at 37 Frank. And so all that to say, it was I'll do it. And so I know these things can be nerve-wracking, but the stories that you have to tell and the ministry that you'll be talking about, everybody out here wants to hear about it. There's all kind of love in the room. So the questions that we talked about earlier, what accomplishment in 2025, so if we look back on last year, would you like to celebrate? What's a thing that's happened at 37 Frank, or even something that you've achieved in 2025 that you want to celebrate?
Yeah, so I'm going to start this with a disclaimer. I don't talk as much as Dave, so you guys will probably be out of here early rather than late.
That's true, yeah. When you do those video blogs, at some point you're saying, okay, Dave, wrap it up.
I don't say it, my face does, but yes. Anyways, accomplishment in 2025, I'd like to celebrate. Also, I'm not close enough to the mic, you can yell at me, it's okay.
You're good.
Okay. Honestly, I think looking back over the last year, just the fact that we were able to keep the crash bed open, it's really hard to get volunteers for the crash bed. You know, people have lives and can't do an overnight. But even with the amount of volunteers that we have, we were still able to keep, 5 kids there. One of them for 5 nights while I was in Mexico, and Dave was losing his mind because he didn't know what he was doing. So that was fun. I'm on the beach and I'm getting phone calls from Dave, I don't know how to do this. But still, we kept a kid there for 5 nights. And then I know people always ask too, they're like, well, you only have 5 or 6 kids staying at the crash bed. Is that really even worth it? And I'll get more into this later, but I know I'm jumping ahead of the game.
Is it worth it? Yeah.
Yeah. But what people don't see is the background work. So before kids even end up staying at the crash bed, I'm working in the background. I'm trying to get them back with their family, doing that sort of mediation. Or just trying to get them in with a friend or another family member, or can we send them to a transitional house in London? Like, is there a better long-term solution? Because the crash bed is only open Thursday night to Monday nights, and it's only overnight. So once that 7 o'clock in the morning hits and the volunteers go home, we send them with a Tim's card, but especially in the dead of winter, there's really nowhere else for them to go. So it's there for an emergency, but really I'm trying to get them out of there as fast as possible, get them somewhere where they're going to have more stability and we can start working on the other stuff going on in their lives. So there was 5 or 6 kids that stayed at the crash bed, but looking back over the last year, there's probably another 20 to 30 that I worked with that didn't end up staying at the crash bed.
Yeah, I like the way that you put that. Having the crash bed itself, very much an accomplishment, but not having to use it, such a great accomplishment.
Yeah.
Like a lot of hard work has gone into even getting the crash bed up and running. And it's not as simple as, oh, there's the property, oh, there's a bed inside of that space, but the relationships, the partnerships you've built with those other agencies, who 3-4 years ago, like, would you think that they even would have trusted working with a nonprofit?
No, and definitely not a Christian nonprofit.
Yeah.
No, that adds a whole other layer to it, so.
At the risk of this, my apologies, I don't want to embarrass you, but I do want to name one of the other accomplishments of 2025 is the working on deputation for Joe. It's basically a process to not simply be trained, but to integrate one's faith with the ministry that happens. And I don't know what the status of that process is, but I know that you cleared a number of hurdles along the way.
I graduate on Thursday.
Oh wow, like there's a whole bunch. This is a great week of so
Yes.
There you go. See, you feel the love. Then question number 2, let's get into some of the numbers. I know it's all about the people, but when it comes to dealing with some of those partners, the numbers matter. So what can you tell us about the stats?
So you talking crash bed or cafe or both?
I want both.
Okay. Well, I would say at the cafe, we probably see around 80 to 100 kids every week, probably around 30 every day. And then at the crash bed, like I said, there's been 5 or 6 over the past year. The actual number's blanking on me, but another 20, 30 that I worked with to find them somewhere else to go. So, and yes, I know people always ask about the stats, and numbers are important. I'm not going to negate that fact. But I think the biggest thing for us at Frank's, and we've really started saying this over the past year, is we really focus on the quality of the interactions that we have with these kids over the quantity of them that are coming in. Because you know what, there might be a day that we only have 15 kids come to the center, but we could have talked with 5 of them that were seriously considering suicide. So yeah, the numbers are a part of it, but people also don't really see the amount of work and effort that goes into maybe just the 5 kids that are there that day.
Yeah, and I remember when things were just starting up, and of course all of the potential partners, they want to know what the numbers are. COVID was there, and I'm going to get it wrong, but the message was, here's the number that matters.
The 1 or 1,000.
That one kid, that's the number that matters. Which is also kind of like the name of our Coldest Night of the Year team, United for One, which you can contribute to by going to the website at Strathroy United Church or Coldest Night of the Year to make a donation. What's the next question? So you talked about the crash service beds already. Can you, in terms of the successes it's had, can you sort of chunk it down for us about how that process works? Because I find it fascinating to hear that lead-up process where you're doing the conversations with the partners. So how might it look?
Yeah, I know. I throw around a lot of words, and people that don't really have familiarity with social services sort of start to glaze over, and I forget that sometimes. So what happens is if I get a phone call or a kid comes in and they're like, I don't think I can go back home tonight, or I got kicked out, the first thing that I do is I go through the referral form with them. So we have a referral process, so that sort of, there's questions on there. Because I have volunteers that come in, there's certain kids that unfortunately they're just too high acuity. In layman's terms, their needs are too high for us to really care for them, and unfortunately I have to find something else for them. But if they get through that referral process, so in there I'll talk to them about, okay, well, what are your risks for suicide? Have you been homeless before? What happened sort of to get to this point? Is there room for a conversation with your parents? Can we go talk to them? Do you have friends to stay with? Do you have family members to stay with? And if it gets to the point where we've sort of spent hours and worked through everything and I've reached out to other agencies and there's still nothing else for them, then I call volunteers and I say, hey, we have this kid that needs the crash bed tonight who is available to go in. There's 2 volunteers that are always on, and they'll go in and they'll stay from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. So the kid will go in, there's food there, there's laundry, there's a shower, and then they leave in the morning. We'll give them a gift card, we give them a backpack with a bunch of basic needs, and then they come into Frank's later, and I work with them again, sort of try to move them along. And especially sometimes if it's on the weekend and there's no other agencies open, the other pieces are not there, so they do end up staying over the weekend, and then we sort of relook at it on Monday and move along with it.
Yeah, so there's, like as you described before, there's a lot of work to make sure that the crash bed becomes a last resort.
Yeah.
But knowing that it's there is part of what helps the person to reach out.
Yeah.
In the first place.
No, and that's honestly a huge part of it, is just that anxiety really for these kids. Like, even if they may not use it, knowing that it's there if something goes sideways is a huge piece of it for them.
Yeah, so much of, I think, feeling safe and secure in this world is about knowing that there's something there to protect me. Even if I don't have to access it, that encourages me, knowing that I've got a choice. Because if not, for some of those kids, what's the other choice?
Yeah.
Suicide, or maybe asking for help in the wrong places.
Yeah, and we've had kids come to us after, staying overnight in places that they really shouldn't have been privy to. So yeah, that risk is also there for sure.
In a moment, I want to talk about the volunteer process, but I don't want to skip over the faith element. We read a scripture passage this morning, Nicodemus going to visit Jesus in the night, in the children's time, wanting to make the point about how it is we're able to see the light. All very symbolic language and a challenge to wrap our minds around. But with 37 Frank, there's this concrete example of what's it mean, especially with the crash bed, which where do you sleep at night, has this sense of the presence of Christ there. You're doing social service work, but we're doing this out of faith.
Yeah.
So you had some time to reflect on this question, and what are your thoughts? And we'll have a conversation about it.
Yeah, so I really loved your analogy earlier that you used with the kids, and I might use it for this as well. A lot of these kids that come in here, either they have never been to a church and they know nothing about Jesus or faith, or they have been and they want nothing to do with it because they feel like they're just judged because of their identity or because of certain aspects of their personality. And they come in there, and we've all been teenagers, we know what it's like to be there, but these kids come in and there's so much in those baskets that they have. There's that hopelessness. There's the society telling me I should be this way, I should be that way. There's what's going on with their families. There's their mental health. Like, you name it, it's there. And they come into Frank's, they come into the crash bed, and even for us to just sit there and we start working through them, slowly these things start coming out of their basket, and they sort of start being able to see that light, and then we can start having conversations with them about faith, and they start coming to us and asking about faith. So it's really just being able to take that time and help them work through all that muck going on in their lives.
Yeah, I have the image in my mind of it's dark outside, and you're looking around hoping to find some sense of hope, and our call as followers of Jesus Christ is to let that light of Christ shine through us. And people see, there's 37 Frank, or I hear word of mouth from teens, or I see on social media about 37 Frank. I think that's a candle in the darkness. I'm going to go towards it and see what happens.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, there's something about the faith element that makes this, I don't want to use the word duty, but we must do it.
It is a duty. I do think as Christians it is a duty.
This is something that we must do because in each person who comes in 37 Frank, we're meeting Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And so it goes both ways. When I'm looking around and the world seems dark, and I'm sure you've experienced this, you have your days and then it feels like it's dark and then you see the light of Christ in one of these kids where you least expect to see it.
Yeah.
Like I've heard Dave tell those types of stories. I know you have those types of stories. But you know what I mean, eh?
Yeah. No, and there's definitely days that like I'll be having a bad day and a kid comes in and they just give me a hug and it's like, oh, you start getting that back from them and it's cool because sometimes it feels like you constantly pouring out and then they start wanting to give back to you and that's really cool.
Yeah, we do this as expression of our faith. So can you talk about ways that people in this congregation, and I mean we're live streaming, people in the community who may be looking in, if they say, yeah, I want to volunteer, like what are the steps they got to do? What are the volunteering opportunities?
So I'll start with the volunteering opportunities and I will go into how to go about that. So we definitely need volunteers for the crash bed. It's sort of at a crisis point where if I lose any more volunteers, we might have to cut back on days, which I really don't want to do. But unfortunately, if I don't have 2 volunteers to go in, that means Dave and I end up working an overnight on top of already working our regular 40 to 60 hours a week. And that's not a guilt trip, that's just sort of how things are. And then the other volunteer opportunity we have is at the cafe. So that is like the actual center. So the crash bed is what I talked about, you go through the volunteering process and then you can tell me, okay, I'm good for these nights or I just want to be on call as an emergency. I'll go in, 1 or 2 nights a month as needed. From 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. And I'm going to be honest, I have volunteers that have been volunteering for the last 2.5 years that have still never gone in because the nights that they're available, I just don't have anybody there. And then at the cafe, we have people that come in and they're like, I really don't like interacting with teenagers or I don't know how to, so I'm just going to stay in the kitchen and I'm just going to microwave pizza. And we have room for that too. Like we need the help to keep the place open. And I mean, if you're somebody who wants to come and hang out and play games of Uno and hang out with teenagers, there's also that.
What about progressive euchre?
I will not be part of that because I hate euchre, but you go for it. But yeah, those are the volunteer opportunities that we have right now. And then in terms of getting started with it, it is a bit of a lengthy process because you are working with teenagers, so you need to have like the background check. There's training involved. For the crash bed, I get people to do suicide intervention training and their first aid as well. But really you just start by emailing me, or you can email Dave, but probably email me because he'll make me deal with it anyways. Sorry, Dave. And then I will send you the volunteer application and it sort of just goes from there. So yeah.
And then the obvious one of helping is with the coldest night of the year. That's coming up in February.
Yes. Though
I think yesterday was the coldest night of the year.
Yeah, it was close.
How many teams do you have so far this year? What was the last count?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think the last time we looked at it, it was 30. We're going for 50.
Yeah, and so those teams, do you keep track of how teams are doing?
Are you asking if you're in number 1 right now?
Oh, who's in first place? Who's in first place right now?
I don't know.
You don't know? Yeah, I checked before the service. We are.
I didn't look.
So if we can, the people who are on the team, if you could stand up right now so people can look at you, know who to go to. So Linda's the team leader. Walkers, please stand up. So these are the people that you can go to with your donations. Thanks. So, Joe, thank you for, how are we doing for time? Yes, it is time to wrap up. Thank you for doing this first sermon interview. And now that Christmas is over, now that I got through the wedding,
You want your cheesecake?
I'm gonna ready for the cheesecake, and my people will be in contact with your people about fundraising. Rolf, if you would come forward, and I'm gonna give Rolf the. Here, let's stand up. There you go.
Josina, just on behalf of all the folks here and those at home, just want to present a check to you on behalf of our congregation towards Coldest Night of the Year and 37 franc. Thank you very much. Now, before you leave, so we have an initiative here called an Everyday Hero card, and I'll read to you what it says. Thank you for being an everyday hero. You have been noticed and are appreciated. Have a wonderful day. And the intent is that we hand these out to folks in our community and elsewhere that we feel are doing something wonderful. Now, I looked at this card and I was listening to you, and I thought, this card is way too small. Like every one of those conversations that you have with people during the course of the week, and you're 80 to 100 people, plus the folks at the crash bed, and you're talking to people multiple times, and you've been doing this for 3 years. This card is so small, but it is, please take it as a token of our appreciation for the work that you do. And also to Dave, because I think he may have had something to do with hiring you. Thank you very much. Yeah, thank you for all that you folks do.
Thank you, Dave. Let's show our appreciation. Thank you, Will. Appreciate it. Dave also lives out of town. I literally want the two of you to leave right now before anybody can stop you to ask any questions, or it'll turn into 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and I want you to get back.
Can I say something?
Can you? Sure.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
I know I'm supposed to leave and I promise 30 seconds.
Yeah, like that's gonna happen.
I don't want to steal anybody's thunder. Thank you so much for that, for those cards. You don't understand. You guys have been here every year, and I'm not trying to get emotional here. It is so important to have the backbone of this community, and you guys are that backbone for us. I can rely on you every year. You guys strive to be the #1 team. It's not about money. Yeah. It's about the validation that all this work that we do, people care, and you show that by marching forward. And Brad's awesome. He jokes all the time and stuff, but he's really a good guy. And I also want to say that before this young lady came up here, she's like, I don't do anything. I shouldn't be up there. It's you, Dave. And I'm like, thank you guys for saying that, because she needed to hear that. She is the backbone. She keeps me in line.
Give me a hug, man. Love you. You're welcome. I'm literally going to say, get out of here while you can. And with that,